during storms and hurricanes. Previously, Bonita worked as the communications manager for the North Sheriff's Office, where she produced motivational videos to help inmates improve their lives and support the sheriff's community outreach program. Bonita started her career as a TV reporter, earning numerous local, regional, and national awards. She worked at WVEC TV in Norfolk, Maryland Public Television, WJZ TV in Baltimore, WFAA TV in Dallas, KOMU TV in Columbia, Missouri, and WXIA TV in Atlanta. She is a magna cum laude graduate of Spelman College in Atlanta and received her master's degree in journalism from the University of Missouri, Columbia. Today, we're going beyond the headlines into the moments, memories, and issues that shaped her journey. So, welcome, Bonita, and we look forward to talking to you on Portsmouth Coffee Talk this morning.
Thank you so much.
James Overton has a few words he needs to say.
Yeah, I just want to say, first I want to say, don't forget she's a member of Delta Sigma Theta. You know, we don't want to get the fellow upset out there. And that's a big part of what she does as an organization, community service, along with all the other things she does. I just wanted to say, last night I got a chance to, as we talk about your influences, Bonita, you know, coming up, and I got a chance to listen to a podcast with Dr. Amy Billingsley, talking to Dr. Robert, I think what was his name? Robert Cosby, who from Howard University. And I was struck by that because, of course, we're going to bring up your dad, you know, Dr. Andrew Billingsley. And I was struck by that during that conversation, some of the names that she dropped, you know, both growing up in Illinois and having a class where she was taught by Langston Hughes.
Wow.
You know, and then later on, during her college days, I believe she roomed or knew Jesse Owens' daughter and knew the family. And I said, wow, when is it going to stop? All these names, and the Congressman Dunham's came up, and she had worked with on the Clinton campaign, and you know, done all these things, and then she settled in to raise, you know, you and your sister, and still sort of assisted your dad in all the things he was doing. And I had to bring that up because, you know, two accomplished parents like that, you know, I just wonder, you know, for you when you started your career, was it pressure, or was it more inspiring to you as you continue, as you know, started your education? Because having those foot to fill, or those accomplished people, like I said, it had to be kind of intimidating in a way, but inspiring at the same time. Which one?
Well, it just seemed normal to me because that's just how I grew up.
That was your parents. Yeah.
But you amaze me, Slim, because you remember and know all these things that I've forgotten and don't even remember. And so it's just always fun talking with you. And Leah, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. You shared so many good things. I don't know what else we have to talk about. But to answer your question, Slim, I never felt the pressure. It just felt normal growing up. I had a lot of experiences growing up thanks to my parents, and we lived north, south, east, and west. People often ask me that because I was a military brat, but no, it was because my dad was in higher education. So when I was born, he was at University of California, Berkeley, and then we moved to Howard University and then Morgan State University in Baltimore, and then he went to University of Maryland. And by the time he did that, I was on my own going away to school. And I never felt the pressure. Honestly, I just probably pressure myself because I like to make sure that I'm doing good things. And I do always, they did always teach us, you know, to whom much is given, much is required. And I've always felt that standard and never felt like I was better than anybody or, you know, different than anybody. Just we're all in this together and we have to look out for each other and help each other grow.
Yeah. And, you know, I mentioned about she did that name dropping, but to them back then, that was just someone they worked with. It sounds amazing to us now because these people are historic, you know, and they've made history during their lives. But it just amazed me, just hearing her, how casually she dropped the names of these people, and our mouths were, you know, dropping open. because she had those experiences with them. But it all shaped what she was doing and how dedicated that era was of people and that were just trying to do the work to advance, our
Exactly.
community.
That's
And
right.
you mentioned earlier about being at an event recently, Bobby Scott's birthday, and how amazing it was to see people wanting to get involved.
Yes.
Uh,
Very encouraging.
politically, and it was kind of encouraging because that's what we need today. So I just wanted to bring that up, and we can kind of go back what got you started. But I just ran across it, just looking for information, and I was floored by that because I didn't see it anywhere else. But
Well,
to
I'm
her,
glad.
her
You
explaining
probably,
was amazing.
oh, sorry. You
I'm
probably
sorry.
saw it on the History Makers site because my mom is also very involved with the History
She
Makers,
mentioned that, yeah.
the largest archive of African-American stories. And so that might be where you saw her story, because a lot of times she's the one behind the scenes. So I appreciate you starting off talking about Mom, because she is an amazing woman, and she's the force behind all of us in the family. But she doesn't always take the spotlight, or she doesn't often take the spotlight for herself. So that was a rare interview that you saw. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, yes, indeed. All right, I yield to my co-host.
Bonita, I
Yes,
think I
ma'am.
want to start on your journalism part of your experience first. And I'd like to know what inspired you to pursue a career in journalism.
You want the short story or the long story?
Oh, you can give it either way. You can give a little bit of both, okay?
Okay. Well, I often tell the story about how when we were young, my parents used to read to my sister and I a lot at night. And now I read to my daughters a lot. I believe that reading is the best free thing you can do for your child. But I start there because my dad used to always tell different stories about, how he grew up, or read stories to us. But one of his favorite fiction stories was some version of The Lion and the Hunter. And at the end of his stories, the hunter always defeated the lion.
Exactly.
And as we got older, we just started asking him more questions like, well, Dad, didn't you say the lion is the smartest hunter in the jungle? And he's like, yes, that's right. And we're like, and didn't you say the lion is one of the fiercest, strongest animals in the jungle? And he said, that's true, girls. And we're like, and Daddy, didn't you say that the lion is actually king of the jungle? And he's like, that's right. Just please, we're paying attention. You've been paying attention, girls. You're so right. You got all that right. And then we're like, but Daddy, then how come the hunter always defeats the lion? And he said, well, girls, that's because the lion needs to tell more stories.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And of course, it's an African proverb, but it was one that just stuck with me growing up. And I felt like it was important for us to tell our own stories, the stories of our community, the stories of other people that wouldn't be heard otherwise. And I grew up, Cicely Tyson was a major role model for me, because she would only take parts that were positive. And it was very disturbing to grow up and see negative images of African Americans on television. When I was young, I used to be mad at my mom because she wouldn't let us watch Shirley Temple or The Little Rascals, all those fun children's shows. But it was because of the negative depictions of African Americans. Exactly. And as I grew up, I just began to appreciate that and want to do what I could to show people the depth of our community and the wonderful beauty of our community. And when I went to Spelman College, which I loved, best 4 years of my life, amazing experience. I was like, well, I'm going to try different subjects to see what it is I want to major in. And I couldn't figure out what I wanted to major in. I tried English, and I was like, okay, I really like English. I tried political science. I was like, well, that's really interesting. I like political science. I even had math and computer science. I was like, okay, well, I'm pretty good at that. And I kept trying things to see what it was I wanted to major in. Well, I ended up majoring in Spanish because I love people. I love communicating with the different people. I love our Black and brown communities. And I thought, well, if I major in Spanish, then I can learn Spanish. And it's also kind of like majoring in English, but I'm learning a language because you learn a lot of grammar and things like that. And it wasn't until, well, after I graduated from Spelman, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but my guidance counselor said, well, you really should go into math and computer science because that's where the jobs are. That's where the best best income jobs are, best salaried positions. And so I went to IBM, which was the big blue at the time, the big computer company. And I got a job at IBM selling, I was on the team that sold copiers. And I thought, well, at least in sales, it'll be a little bit more involved with other people and connecting with people and not just about the technical part. But after a year of doing that, I realized this is really not what I was meant to do. And I was always interested in television news, interested in communications and public speaking, that kind of thing. And I thought to myself, I had this light bulb moment where I said to myself, I would rather try to do what I really want to do and fail than look back and say, I never even tried.
Mm-hmm.
But when I had expressed it before, people were like, oh, you can't do TV news. You know, it's too hard to get into. You have to be prettier. You know, you have to have all these things that you don't have. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try it. And so I quit the job at IBM, went back to Atlanta, worked as a secretary in the Atlanta University Center, and I did my research. And I found the top 3 journalism schools in the country at the time were Northwestern University, Syracuse University, and University of Missouri. Still amazing journalism schools. Not sure if they're still the top 3, but they might be. Once I was accepted to all 3, I went and talked to the news directors in Atlanta, the ABC, the CBS, and the NBC affiliate. And being, you know, young and excited, college graduate from Spelman, all of them agreed to see me. I told them I just wanted to have, you know, 10-minute, 15-minute informational interview. And so they all agreed to see me, and they're like very competitive with each other. So it's not like they hang out or talk to each other. But I said, well, of the 3 schools, Syracuse, Northwestern, and University of Missouri, which one would you be most likely to hire someone from? And all 3 of them said University of Missouri. And I was shocked because I wanted to go to New York or Chicago. I had applied for University of Missouri because it was one of the top ones. And I said, well, I'm going to give myself the best chance. And they all said University of Missouri because at University of Missouri, you get to, they own their own newspaper, they own their own radio station, and they own their own television station, which is a commercial affiliate in the market. So when you graduate, you don't just graduate with an education and studio, you know, kind of mock training. You actually are doing the work. And that's why they said that you'd be more likely to do that. So I accepted at the University of Missouri. And once I accepted at the University of Missouri, then I was qualified to do an internship. And so for the first time in my life, I did an internship at the NBC station in Atlanta, WXIA. And that was the first time in my life I felt like this is what I was born to do. I love this. And it turns out that changing majors a lot, changing, you know, different subjects and liking a lot of different subjects is not that uncommon for journalists, especially journalists like me. I was mostly a general assignment reporter, and I liked doing different things, you know, something different every day. And I got that experience for the first time as an intern after I had already graduated. I was getting ready to go to graduate school, and it was just an excellent experience. And University of Missouri was an excellent experience. I cried all the way there from hot Atlanta
to Missouri,
Midwest Missouri. And I grew up on the East Coast, and the TV station was in the middle of a cow pasture. And I was like, Lord, what in the world have I gotten myself into? But it was an absolutely excellent experience. And I'm the kind of person that I wanted to learn how to do it right before I actually started working in the field. But in television news, you can do it. You can just start in a really small market and make mistakes and figure it out as you go. And then you gradually move up to bigger markets. Or you could go somewhere like University of Missouri and learn the principles and the basics. And then I feel like you get started with a much better head start.
You know, and Bonita, and you've always been such an amazing storyteller. Always. I've always enjoyed watching you on the news. And is there a memorable story that you've covered? And if there is one, why has it stuck with you?
Oh, I had so many good ones. And there's 2 examples I'm trying to think about. But the one that really tops them all is the story of Carl Brashear, the first African-American Navy diver. When I met him, he was retired from the Navy. He was the first African-American Navy diver, and later he became the first amputee Navy diver after he was injured in the line of duty. And they retired him with honors, and they were like, you gave us a wonderful career. Thank you so much. Go home and be retired. And he was like, I'm not ready to go home. He lost his leg. He's like, I'm not ready to go home. I'm not going to let anybody steal my dream. And he worked out because you had to be really strong. You have to be really strong to be a Navy diver.
Today we're going beyond the headline into the moment.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure. I thought you were saying something to me. But he was just an amazing and inspirational person. And when I went to meet him for the first time, he showed me his I Love Me room where he had all of his awards and accomplishments and everything. And he told me how he was really trying to do a movie about his life. And so I interviewed him a few times and we became really good friends. And he did end up doing a movie about his life. I think Bill Cosby actually helped him get his start. And for those of you who haven't seen, let's see, what is the name of his story? It's not The Navy Diver. It's the Men of Honor. If any of you haven't seen that movie, Men of Honor, about Carl Brashear, our own Hampton Roads, person, amazing, inspiring person. That's probably my favorite story and my favorite person that I got to meet through the news at Channel 13 that forever inspired me.
Wonderful. Co-host, any questions?
Yeah, Colonel,
I just want to bring up this story. I want to bring up this story before the Colonel gets in there before I forget. And I told Bonita about this. She was in the midst of, Dr. Mayor Holly's recall and then his comeback. And I remember seeing an interview. She was interviewing former Mayor Gloria Webb. And it was during the time when Holly was going to make his comeback after he had, been disgraced. And Bonita was sitting there and she asked her, what do you think about former Mayor Holly getting back into the race? Gloria Webb just put out a big laugh like it was ridiculous. And at that moment, her cameraman panned to Bonita and she sat there, like, this is a serious question. She did not blink or anything. And it was so ironic because, Mayor came back and defeated her. But the question she asked, Mayor Webb thought it was a joke, him coming back. Nowhere in the world he can come back and beat me. But I just remember the look on her face when they panned the camera after you asked that question and she broke out laughing was a classic for me. And I've been looking for that. But, that was so long ago, it's kind of hard. I would have to probably go into the 13 channel archives or something like that to find that. But if I ever find that, I'm going to post it.
I don't even remember it. I don't have no recollection of it, but it's wonderful to hear the story. And I'm glad that that I was, operating with integrity. Let's put it that way.
Yes. It looked like you wanted to say, well, I'm not going to say it looked like what you probably wanted to say, but that look was just something classic that I wish other people could see.